Ciao! Hello! Happy Wednesday! I'm so excited to have you here today. I'm sending you so much love and blessings for your beautiful Wednesday. For y'all who do not know me, I am Rebecca Fabic. I started the blog, The Blue Empath, at theblueempath.com. And just a week ago, I kind of announced that I am Rebecca Ann, the forgiveness guru, and I'll kind of go more into that in a bit. But first, I kind of want to take you back to 4.5 years ago. So I'll give you kind of a recap of what's going to happen in this video. I'm going to take you back about 4.5 years ago to when my sister Helen passed away to accidental overdose, how I felt in that time, what it felt like to me, and then a month and a half later, being on spring break and my parents deciding to get divorced, and like we had a meeting together, and it was basically like we all walked out very upset, and how that felt whenever they explained to me they're getting divorced. And how I felt in that time and my emotions at that time and everything that kind of came up for me and how I reacted and the victim mentality the victim mentality that I kind of brought upon myself and what it felt like. I want to show you the emotion that it felt like. I want to get into and tell you, what that time was like for me, and get real with you and get vulnerable. So I'm so excited to have you here. Um, I'm gonna be honest with you. I feel a little anxious and a little nervous right now because going back to that time is hard for me sometimes. I have come so far and I am so grateful for everything that's happened. It's exactly as it's all meant to be. But sometimes going back to the time does bring up emotions for me, and it brings up stuff for me that, maybe I'm still working through. We're always a work in progress, and I'm a major work in progress. I'm still, I put out my free 8 Steps to Forgiveness ebook, and I'm still working it every day. Every day I wake up and look through it, and every day I'm, having to constantly forgive myself and forgive other people and that kind of thing. So just please remind yourself you're always a work in progress, and you're wherever you are right now is a beautiful place to be. I honor you and I honor your story. It's beautiful, and hope you can. I'm so glad you can be here along to hear mine. So I'm going to take you back to 4.5 years ago when my sister Helen passed away from accidental overdose, and first what that felt like. When I first got the news about Helen, it was really shocking. It was really, really shocking. I can remember the moment like it was yesterday. My boyfriend Kyle, I was at my sorority I was president of my sorority at the time, and I was leading a brunch. And with a bunch of alumni, it was an alumni brunch, and I was supposed to give a talk and all that kind of stuff. And we're sitting there eating brunch in our sorority house, and I could see Kyle kind of like through this door, kind of like going back and forth and crying. And I was like, why is Kyle here and why is he crying? So I excused myself from the table and I go over there, and he like takes me outside and he's trying to tell me this news and he can't get it out. And then he's just talking about like Helen, and something happened, and she's gone. And I didn't believe him at first. At first I was just in shock. I couldn't understand. I didn't believe him. And I was just like, well, they'll bring her back. Like, the paramedics can bring her back. She can come back. She's not gone. And that's, the first story I went into when I found out this news. And then I literally had to go talk to my team, my executive team, and tell them what had happened. And then I have to go. And I literally went to my room, packed a bag, and then we were off to go home back to St. Louis to reunite with family and everything. And the emotion I had was shock. The first thing was shock. And then over the next few days, it was just complete despair, sadness. And a week later, I was asking myself if I would ever be happy again. I was wondering if happiness was even in the cards for me ever again. And I just felt lost. Helen was so, I mean, we were really close. If any of y'all knew Helen and I, we fought like, I mean, we were sisters. We fought a lot, but also we loved hard. Um, but she was, she just had such a big part of me and such a big part of her is in me. And I just felt like, will this void ever be filled again? Will this hole in my heart ever be full again? Will I be happy again? Will I smile? Will I laugh? Will I be able to enjoy life again without her? And that's how I felt. And if you're going through grief and you feel like that right now, know that it's okay. It's okay to have those thoughts. It's completely okay. And just give yourself love. And just say, I'm exactly where I'm meant to be right now. I'm exactly where I'm meant to be right now. And understand that grief and that shock, and that's sometimes what happens. And then, and then we have that week of like being with family, and sadness, and the wake, and the funeral, and just feeling all kinds of emotions and everything. To a week later, I'm back at school, and I have to get back in the swing of school and everything. And I basically just took all that grief, sadness, all of those feelings and emotions I had around Helen's death, put them in this little container, put them in this box, and then put it to the side and was like, okay, I can't deal with that right now. I need it's just going to have to go over there because I can't deal with that right now. I need to do school, and I'm president of my sorority. And that's what I did. I basically took that box and put it to the side, compartmentalized it, as my therapist would say. I compartmentalized it. And that's what I did. And then when I went back to school, I literally just buried myself in being president of my sorority and meetings and talks and leading, and which is amazing. God put me exactly where I need to be. I was president of my sorority because I was meant to be that, and maybe it helped me through that time when I needed it. But looking back, I let go. I let go of my self-care. I didn't focus on myself. I focused on other people solving other problems. I didn't focus on myself, what I needed, the emotions I was having, what I needed to heal. And it just kept getting put off, and it kept getting put off and put off and put off. And it kind of just kept building. And then a month and a half later, we're on spring break. I'm on spring break with my family and a few friends. And my parents decide, okay, we have a meeting all together, and some things that happened within our family that were really hard. And they decided, and we come down for a meeting, that they're getting divorced. And in that moment, again, I am just so angry. I'm just so angry, and I just feel like I'm lost. Like, my identity, where the hell is my identity? I don't even know. And I just, in those moments, and then after my parents deciding to get divorced, and what I felt like what my dad walked out on me, and we didn't talk for months after, or if we did, it was very little. My dad and I's relationship became very rocky, and my mom's was soon to follow. It was just my dad and I's relationship first that became really rocky, and I just became so angry with him and so resentful for his decisions, what he's decided, because I felt like it wasn't right. It wasn't morally right, or I didn't agree with them. And it just that anger was just deep seated in me, and I had this victim story that what he did, or him walking out, or those things that people would see who he really is, that people would see that I'm the victim and he's not, and all this stuff. And I created this victim story that was in no way helping myself. It only hurt myself. And I became wrapped up in this story that everyone will see one day, that he's wrong and I'm right. He's wrong, I'm right. He's morally wrong, I'm morally right. I've done everything perfect. And that story is just so false, looking back, and I feel so sad for myself because that was so false. But I honor where I was at that time because I was doing the best I could. But I'm trying to take you into that emotion of what I was feeling. But that's how I was feeling. And then a few months later, we're into summer. Okay, we're in summer, and both my parents are dating other people already. And I just felt like everything was moving so fast. Everything was moving so quickly. And I was just like lost. I'm just like, both my parents have moved on. They're both dating other people, what I feel like is in other worlds. And I'm just like, where am I? And I just continued to focus on what was wrong with them and not to look within. And that's a big part of something, looking back on kind of where I went wrong. I was focusing on other people, what they were doing wrong or what they were doing right, and then judging them. I was judging them. Okay? And that judgment was just hurting me. That anger and resentment I was holding was just hurting me. And I had anger towards my mom and dad for moving on so quickly, for dating other people so quickly, for what felt like they let go of our family so quickly. And it hurt. And it hurt. And it made me feel like, was there not more to stand for? Was there not more to fight for for me or for my brother or for happiness? And even for this, Helen was gone at this point, but for Helen too. And I just became angry and resentful, but under that, and then I started to go to a therapist that summer, and I had all these feelings. And so I started going to my therapist, who helped me to see that. And first of all, for all of you, I wasn't like, oh yeah, I need a therapist. No, like my parents suggested it. My mom really suggested it, really encouraged me to go. And finally I was like, okay, I'll go for grief. Because I knew I was sad and missing Helen and that kind of stuff. I could admit that, right? I could admit that I was sad and missing Helen. So I was like, okay, I'll go for grief. I was not willing to look at so much other of the stuff at the beginning, okay? I was very resistant to look at that victim story, or I was very resistant to look at why I was so angry and resentful. And I remember being in my therapist's office, and I would just hold back the tears with literally my lip quivering. And I would hold back those tears. I would hold back that emotion. And then it would just all come out. It would literally all bust at the seams and come out. And I would just be in there just like letting all these tears out, letting everything out, and just letting it be. And then I just remember thinking like, wow, this feels good to just like let it all out, right? I mean, I was 20 at the time, almost 21 at the time, and I had spent 20 years of my life kind of shoving down my sadness. I learned from a really young age that sadness and crying was only for weak people, right? I don't know if you have that story, but I had that story, that sighing and sadness and being sad is only for weak people, so I shouldn't be those things. So I had been shoving down my sadness, even though I'm an empath and I'm super empathetic and I am full of emotion. And I would shove down those emotions, and then all of a sudden I'm in this therapist's office bringing all these emotions up, and from years and years and years of stuff and hurt and sadness and fear. And I started identifying, my therapist helped me identify that anger I had towards my dad, and that victim mentality that he's wrong, I'm right, what he did was wrong, and what I've done is right, is just a story to tell myself to cover up my fear and my sadness and my hurt and the abandonment I felt. And that was really transformational for me, to understand that what I was feeling was really just fear and sadness and hurt and abandonment. That word abandonment, I remember when I first heard her say abandonment, and I was like, I don't know what you're talking about. I don't feel abandoned. What are you talking about? They're all morally wrong anyway. Why would I want to be loved by them anyway? Like, just going off on these stories that aren't true. They're not true, And then I remember when I started feeling into that abandonment, feeling into what that felt like, and it just was so deep, and I felt it so strongly, and it was true. I felt abandoned. I felt really hurt. I felt sad. I felt lost in who I was. I didn't know my identity anymore. I didn't have my family's identity anymore. And it was just a hard time. And if I'm if any of these words or anything that I'm saying is connecting with you, please shoot me an email at theblueempath@gmail.com or press connect up at the top, or DM me on Instagram, Facebook, whatever it is. Send me a message and let me know if you're understanding what I'm talking about or going through the same thing, okay? I want to know, and I want to be able to connect with you. And then with working through my therapist, and then it was like moving into how to express my truth. Okay, I'm pressing here because this is our throat chakra. Okay, this is where our truth is, like expressing this truth. And and I wasn't expressing my truth. I was just outwardly being angry at my dad, resentful towards my dad, resentful towards my parents, towards their dating life, towards what their choices were, and and it blocked my truth, of my truth of, oh, really, I just feel sad. I feel sad. I feel lost. I feel abandoned. I feel like I don't know my way anymore. I feel like, is this even where I'm meant to be anymore? And then I started to kind of have to tell my parents these things and tell them how I felt, and that was so scary. For anyone who's had to tell their parents how they truly feel about something, I send you so much love because I know how hard it is. I remember thinking, oh my Lord, this woman is nuts. She wants me to tell my parents how I feel, like, oh, today, or what you did really made me feel sad. What you just walking out like that and just starting to date someone else and move on with your life so quickly after everything that had happened to our family made me feel abandoned. It made me feel abandoned and sad and like I lost you. And having to say those things were hard and it was scary. But, I did it anyway because I had to. I had to express my truth, going through therapy and stuff. And I finally did, and it felt so good. At first doing it, I would literally be like shaking, like partially wanting to cry, run away, and all those things to have, and to say those things. But finally, I started saying them and getting them out, and it changed the conversation. When we tell people how we feel, instead of, you did this, you're wrong, I'm right. That's the conversation with my dad went from, you're wrong, I'm right, you're morally wrong, or I don't agree with what you do, I don't agree with your decisions, I don't agree with that, to what you did made me feel sad and abandoned and hurt. And when I changed that conversation to this way, that's when things started to heal. When I started to heal and see that through doing this work that I can open up to happiness again, that made me feel better, it made me feel lighter. And yeah, I'm just thinking back to those times, and I just have so much love for myself at that time because it was really, really hard for me to have to express my true emotion. And I did it anyway because I knew it's what I had to do to heal. So we're kind of in summer, and then I'm just, another part of my healing was writing. I did a lot of writing and journaling it all out, journaling the anger out, the resentment out. And I really suggest that to you if you're struggling with anger or resentment, just journaling it all out. Literally scribble it all over paper. It doesn't even matter. It doesn't need to be sentences. Just scribble all over paper, rip the paper up, whatever you have to do, just get it out on that paper, and it would make me feel so much better. Okay, that's a big thing that I use throughout the 8 steps of forgiveness. Is I do a lot of journaling prompts to help you work through that anger and resentment, and at the end you'll feel better, and you'll feel more of a release. You'll feel lighter. Okay. So we're in summer, and I'm angry with both my parents, and I told you how I've started to let that go. But still, and then from summer to Christmas, okay, so from like July, August, and then till Christmas, I'm just doing this work, and I'm trying my hardest, but still, I'm human. I'm I'm kind of falling back and forth into anger and resentment, to like trying to express my true feeling, from anger and resentment to trying to express my true feeling. And what I found was that the more that I went into how I was feeling or digging more into my true feelings and letting other people know, that is when the shift would occur, and what A Course in Miracles would say, a miracle moment. When I would shift out of that anger and resentment towards my parents and shift into this love and gratitude for what had happened, that was a miracle moment. When I chose different, when I chose love, okay? And I want you to know that this is available to you too. And it's available for all of us. And what it really is what I found was that the more that I just shifted from, well, you're wrong and I'm right, and what I don't agree with what you morally do, and I don't agree with your morals, to I don't agree with your decisions, and then shifting over and telling them my true, shifting over and telling them my true feelings of what you did made me feel really sad and hurt and abandoned. And I hope you can understand how I feel this way. Telling them that, and then forgiving myself and forgiving them, and forgiving my parents, forgiving my mom, forgiving my dad, and then feeling this restoration of love. Okay? This is kind of the flow I was going through at that time, was these emotions coming up. At first coming out as anger, resentment, you're wrong, I'm right, I don't like you, you're whatever, you're this, you're that, you're wrong, you're just, I would say all kinds of crazy things. Like, I don't agree with you, and I'm judging, and I would judge them, and I would judge my parents, and I would judge other people, and that judgment, and then sitting and saying, okay, what am I really feeling? Okay, that fear and that sadness, that hurt and that abandonment, that lost in life feeling, right? And then telling them what you did made me feel blank with emotion, and I hope you can understand how I feel that way. And opening up a truthful conversation, and then forgiving myself for those emotions, those rough emotions I was having, to forgiving myself and just knowing that I'm human and I was trying the best I could at that time. So forgiving myself, forgiving my parents, forgiving other people, forgiving and just understanding that we're all doing the best we can at that time. And then that restoration of love. And that is when the miracle moment happens, is when we can shift the story over and to find the love in the situation. And some of you are probably like, what the hell? What the hell is she even talking about? How can I go from that just to telling my true feelings? I understand. I know, it took me like months and months and months of work with a therapist, right? To tell others my true feelings, but I want you to see that it is possible. It is possible, and it is available for you to return back to love. I believe wholeheartedly, because I did it myself, that the way to create healthier relationships and return back to love is through forgiveness of ourselves and others. Okay? And a part of that is telling them our true feelings or journaling it out. Okay? And I want you to know that. I want you to know that it's available to you too. I'm just trying to show you my story and how I went through it, and kind of take a more deeper dive into it. And then by Christmas, I'm doing this more, and I'm just trying, and also part of it is just surrendering and just knowing everything is as it's meant to be. Surrendering to God, just surrendering to God and knowing that everything is as it's meant to be. And surrendering more, and surrendering, and just trying your hardest to understand wherever we are right now is exactly where we are meant to be. Okay? But this is kind of, and see, I've been talking for, 24 minutes now. Someone puts me on a screen and I just keep talking, y'all. No, I'm so passionate about this stuff because I believe in it, and I went through it, and I went through the ringer, what felt like, and came out on the other side, with the smoke behind me, and I want to take you there too, and that's just the truth. So if you're feeling any of those feelings I was feeling, and if you can resonate with anything I'm saying, please get in contact with me. Um, or if you see there's a work with me button, if you scroll up to the top after watching this video, there's a work with me button, and also I can link it at the bottom of this blog post. You can press that and kind of read more through what I offer. I offer a one-on-one coaching program where I am helping others go from feeling sad, lost, and angry like I just was, how I explained to you how I just was, and feeling lost in life like I didn't know who I was anymore and lost in my identity and so angry and resentful, to creating healthier relationships and going and returning back to love through forgiveness. And also I have my free ebook, The 8-Step Guide to Forgiveness, and I would love for you to look through it if you're struggling with any of these things, because I literally wrote that in a day. It was a divine download. God just, I swear, just came, like it just came through my hands, and of how I went from being so angry and resentful to how I began to forgive, and the steps and the 8 steps I took over the 4.5 years to fully forgive and create healthier relationships. Now my dad and I's relationship is as strong as ever, and I'm so proud of that, because there was a time where I really did not, I was really upset with him and I was very angry with him, and that's okay, and I can say that with a clear heart because I was, and I forgive myself for that time. And to now, where we talk often and about life, and we're a part of each other's lives, because we went months without talking basically, and I want to take you there too, and I just want you to know that I love you. I honor where you are. I honor you. I honor your story, and I honor where you've been, what you've been through, and I know it hasn't been easy, and I totally understand that. And I want you to know that if you need help, I am here for you. I am here for you. My free 8-step guide, if you're looking for something quick and easy to read through, my free 8-step guide, I'll link it at the bottom. I'll link it at the bottom of this blog post, okay? So you can look through it. My free 8-step guide to forgiveness will help you return to love through forgiveness, and to see what those true emotions of what you are having. And if you're feeling scared or anything, just put your trust in God, or even if you don't call it God, universe, love, whatever it is, just put your trust in love, that love you feel, and trust in that, and trust in its ability to heal, and it will heal you once you become willing for it, okay? I'm sending you so much love and light. I just love you all so much. I love sharing my journey. I love sharing my story of everything. And if you have any more questions, please don't feel scared to contact me. I love connecting with all of you, okay? I hope you have a blessed and beautiful Wednesday. It is beautiful here in Milan. It's not too hot, and it's in the middle of July, so I'm feeling extra grateful. And I'm still feeling so grateful for our conversation today. I'm feeling so grateful for you and the love and light you bring into this world. I can recognize it and I can see it. Okay? Happy Wednesday, y'all. Ciao.